Good evening and welcome to Metro Focus. I'm Jenna Flanagan. It's a pivotal week for congressional Republican leaders as the House of Representatives prepares to vote on the proposed tax reform legislation. Lawmakers will cast their votes this Thursday, with New York Representative Peter King confirming that he believes that the party has the votes to pass the bill despite his current opposition. A far stiffer test in the Senate is expected, where the margin of the GOP majority is far, far slimmer. So what could be the direct consequences of this tax reform on New Yorkers should it be signed into law? For answers, we turn to Greg David, a columnist for Crain's New York Business and the director of the Business and Economics program at CUNY's Graduate School of Journalism. Greg, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So first, I want to start by talking just about this legislation overall. It's very complex, it's very wide-ranging, and yet it's supposed to be simplifying everyone's taxes. So can you break down how this might actually affect New Yorkers across the socioeconomic platform?
Well, everyone's talking about the end or limitations on state and local income tax deductions. Now, this does not affect every New Yorker. As a matter of fact, it affects less than a third of New Yorkers. And that number is going to go down because the tax bill envisions increasing the standard deduction, so even fewer New Yorkers would be affected. But those who are affected will be affected a great deal, and their tax bills will go up. And those are people in the suburbs around New York City and in Manhattan. And they're the people who have the biggest state and local tax deductions. In the suburbs, it's a combination of property taxes and income taxes. In Manhattan, it's primarily income taxes. The average deduction for a New Yorker who itemizes is more than $60,000, so it is of enormous benefit to those people.
We heard a lot of opposition coming out of lawmakers from the House, but I'm wondering, should we have any concern over what might be coming from the Senate?
No, I mean, the fact is that $10,000 property cap allows 5 or 6 of the upstate Republicans in New York to support the bill, because it greatly diminishes the impact on their constituents. Not only Peter King, but Dan Donovan from Staten Island and Lee Zeldin from Long Island have also said they're going to oppose the bill in the House, as are a couple of New Jersey Republicans. The question is will it be enough? And the indication at the moment is no.
Well, the way the White House is presenting this legislation is that this will actually be more detrimental for the upper 1% of Americans. The president himself has even gone so far as to say he would come out as a loser if this passes. Does the data prove that?
The upper 1% who live in New York City? Yes. The upper 1% who live in the whole country? Almost certainly not. It all depends on where you live and the local tax structure. It's not going to be detrimental to the 1% in Florida or Texas, that's for sure.
Well, speaking of the different changes within the legislation, there's also been a lot of talk about what is commonly referred to as the death tax, but it's really just an estate tax. Is that correct?
Yes. The bills have somewhat different provisions, but it is the Republicans' desire to eliminate the estate tax. The estate tax is paid by very few people, but for those who pay it, it's a lot of money. This is clearly a benefit to rich people who want to pass along their businesses or just their wealth to their children. It's a very controversial provision, and it's another reason why Trump is wrong. This will be of enormous benefit to Trump's children if there's no estate tax on his estate when he passes it on to his kids.
Part of the White House's presentation was that they came to the table with this tiny little postcard that we could all file our taxes on. Now, of course, that might seem pretty exciting if you find filing your taxes to be an overwhelming, intimidating experience, but who does that really benefit if there's so few deductions to be made?
Well, we don't know whether the postcard's going to work because while the House has only 4 tax brackets, the Senate has 7, so the complexity might not be reduced. The administration rolled this out as a middle-class tax cut, but taxes go up on approximately a third of the middle class as a result of this bill. What this bill does is it lowers taxes on corporations dramatically. It greatly slashes the corporate tax rate in America, which is among the highest in the world, in an effort to, the Republicans say, spur economic growth The Republicans even argue that it will increase wages, although most economists, especially those who are in the progressive camp, say it's just not going to happen. And that's the fundamental attempt of the Republicans. By lowering taxes on business owners, they hope to spur the economy.
That's an excellent point, but I also want to ask, what do we know of what this tax legislation would actually do to the deficit? Because there's been talk of it adding trillions of dollars to the national debt.
Well, the proponents of the bill are allowed to increase the budget by $1.5 trillion, the deficit by $101.5 trillion. That's what the legislation allows. The question is whether it will increase it by more. The budget plan the Republicans accompanied the tax bill with has unspecified cuts in domestic programs over the 10-year horizon of the bill. Does that mean Social Security? Does that mean Medicare? Does that mean Medicaid? Could you get those cuts without it? Or what happens if the politics don't allow those cuts? So the answer is the deficit's going up by a little more than $1 trillion, and the question is whether it will go up by much more.
All right, well, there'll definitely be something to watch. I think we all have a financial investment in it. Well, Greg David, thank you so much for joining us on the program.
My pleasure.